today we have this Husqvarna here because we have to replace the bearings in the spindle. I don't know how good you can see it on camera, but you can see how much movement is in this blade. This means the bearings are bad in the spindle. First thing you want to do is get a 1/2-inch wrench or socket and back these 4 bolts out. You don't have to take them all the way out because the cover is slotted. Now remove the cover by pulling straight up. Now we can remove the belt. Next step is to remove the blade. Without the blade in the way, we'll have more room to remove the spindle shaft. To remove the blade, you need a 5/8 socket. Now remove the cotter pin and pull off the 2 washers. Now we can lift this rod up and out of the way. Now to remove this nut, you will need a 7/8 socket. I used my M12 impact wrench to zip off the nut. Pull off the pulley and be careful to not loose the spacer under the pulley. Now you can use either a dead blow hammer or a rubber mallet to give the shaft a tap and drop it down out of the spindle. Remove the spindle shaft from under the deck and set it somewhere clean. Now use a 1/2 socket to remove the 4 spindle mounting bolts. Be mindful that the spindle housing will drop down. Now pull the spindle housing out from under the deck and take it to your workbench. This is the spindle housing with the bearings, spindle seal guard and dirt seal, and finally the spindle shaft that I already cleaned the grease off of. Remove the top and bottom bearings. Here are the new bearings, and I already removed the shield off the big bearing. The part number for the big bearing is 62042 RSC3 and the part number for the smaller one is 62032 RSC3. I wire wheeled the spindle housing and gave it a coat of paint and cleaned all the old grease out of it. Grab the bigger bearing and put the side without the shield down. Now flip the housing over and install the smaller bearing. Now we can take the housing over to the mower deck and insert it into the hole in the deck and bolt it down. Now we can take the spindle shaft and slide the seal guard over the shaft, and now slide the seal on the shaft as well. Insert the spindle shaft into the spindle housing and make sure to hold it to keep it from falling back out. Put the spacer back on the spindle shaft and set the pulley back on the shaft and put the pulley nut back on and tighten it. With the spindle reinstalled, we can lower the deck lifting rod and put it back into the hole. Put the washers back on. It might be a little hard due to the burr on the rod. Put the cotter pin back in. And now we can set the spindle cover back on the deck and tighten the 4 bolts with a 1/2 inch wrench or socket. Remember to pump the spindle back up with the correct grease to ensure you don't damage the new bearings. That's it, now you can get back to mowing.